Hey, welcome to another episode of Three Conservative Gimps, where we give you all the information for you to make good and concise choices at the ballot box. So we've got a great show today. We got a special guest all the way from Livonia, Michigan, former Congressman Thaddeus McCotter. I'll bring him up in a second. Let's bring in my co-host, Charles Skoluski. Welcome, welcome. Good
Hey
to
Art,
see
how you
you.
doing? Everybody in the chat?
Doing pretty good. Unfortunately, Lloyd won't be with us tonight. He is with Judy at the hospital. She is, well, she's doing better. They
Yeah.
got her off the ventilator and she's doing much better. So hopefully she'll be home soon.
Yes, thank God
So,
for that.
yes. Blah, 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 blah. Let's get the show going. Let's bring in our special guest, former congressman, and he's a semi-regular on Red Eye. Fox, let's welcome Thaddeus McCotter. Welcome, welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me. Hello, Charles. How are you?
Good, Thaddeus, how are you?
All right. I'm glad to hear about Judy.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So, just wanted to make a quick point. I was at the Jeff Dunham show last night, and early in the show, he talked about how he normally doesn't do political stuff, but he had Walter dressed up as President Biden with the shaded aviator glasses, sunglasses, and he asked the audience if they were going to vote who's voting for Joe Biden. And then you hear a little yay, about a quarter of the crowd say yay, yeah. And then when he said, "How many of you are voting for Donald Trump?" And it was like the whole place just lit up. It was like 3/4 or 4/5, yeah. And it's like, wow, that's awesome. So it was a wonderful show. I've worked with Jeff a couple times back when I still did stand-up comedy. Worked with him in Oklahoma City and here in Denver. This was before he got big, where he was working arenas, and now he's doing, theaters now, big theaters. And it was a wonderful, wonderful show. So, Thaddeus, if you get a chance, you gotta see this guy. He is hilarious.
I'll take that under advisement, Art.
Okay. Our president had the State of the Union speech. It was more like a get off my lawn speech. What are your thoughts, Thaddeus?
Well, in fairness, a get off my lawn speech would be much shorter.
Yeah, right.
It probably wouldn't be quite as angry. But I think it's unfortunate. Look, the President of the United States is a political creature. We all know that. And it doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on. The State of the Union is their chance to put forward their agenda. But generally, they try, if they're going to be partisan, they try to do it much more subtly. They try not, they want to appear above the fray, above partisanship, especially when delivering the State of the Union. They want to make it appear that they're trying to appeal to all the country and unite it. And Mr. Biden has always had difficulty with that. From the first State of the Union, he delivered on. We saw I would think the prequel to this with his speech about the state of democracy in America, which it looked like it was being delivered from the very gates of hell.
Right.
So this isn't something we haven't seen before. It's just heading into an election year, his audience was not necessarily the American people, ironic.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you think about it, we've heard so much dissatisfaction amongst Democrats regarding him being their standard bearer, regarding his ability to do the job as commander in chief for the next 4 years. So his real goal was to appeal to Democrats that he should be their standard bearer, and thus he had to deliver a very fiery diatribe against political opponents. He managed to do that, but whether or not it was sufficient to ameliorate the concerns of Democrats as to his fitness to be not only their nominee, but president of the United States, and that could push forward a progressive agenda, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, and he definitely looked like he was, I don't know, maybe he took a couple Red Bulls before the show. He seemed a little more animated than usual.
Well, I think the word that the media latched onto was fiery. I think that's the one that they really liked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but again, they had brought in all these social influencers, social media influencers for meetings at the White House. So this isn't, let's just put it this way, at least with Pravda, they made no pretense to being anything other than state regime media.
Right.
At least they were direct about that. But when you look at what they're talking about, it's everybody, unfortunately, knows someone who, as they get older, has had their faculties deteriorate.
Right.
And so it's very difficult to convince Americans who've seen the ravages of age in their own personal life be fooled by stagecraft regarding the presidents.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, look, the man's, he's an octogenarian, and he's trying to get 4 more years. It's a tall order for anybody, even in the most robust of health. And I believe he's had an aneurysm. He's had operations.
Right. Yep.
It's very difficult. And to a certain extent, you can, if you think about it in terms of like football coaches, a lot of them don't want to stop because they're afraid of what will happen, that if I stop doing what I love, I won't last very much longer. And so some politicians do the same thing. And that may be the case here. This is all he's known his entire life. And he doesn't want to go gently into that good night, I guess.
Right. Right. And
it's unfortunate, Art. I mean, it's unfortunate because as conservative myself, as a populist anyways, I know there's a whole lot more to life than politics. So I don't mind not having to do it every day.
Right.
I'm a better person not having to do it 24/7, but for people who believe that politics is not a part of life, it is life itself. Well, I pity them, and they have difficulty letting it go.
Right. And one of his big things recently was shrinkflation. Have you noticed how small these candy bars are getting? We're going to put a stop to it. Yeah. Yeah, I liked it. How are you going to stop that? Are you going to have, I don't know, executive orders telling candy manufacturers you can't shrink the size of your product because it costs too much to produce that product, and your profit margin will go down if you keep it the same size?
Well, it's kind of insulting to people because the companies make the packaging smaller so they can keep the price down.
Right,
and keep the profit margins the same or roughly the same. So if they were to leave the package the right size, the traditional size, the cost would go up as a result of Bidenflation.
right.
And then Mr. Biden, to cover his behind, would start accusing the companies of price gouging. Because it's everybody's fault except for him and the Democratic spendthrift Congress that pumped all these trillions of dollars of borrowed money into the economy that is chasing too few goods. And then they make it harder for the production of goods to meet the demand. So there you have Bidenflation, and it's not going to go away. And worse, you have a $35+ plus trillion deficit that no one in the debt that no one can figure out how we're ever going to pay for.
Right.
That is just getting worse. That is going to sooner or later start crowding out discretionary spending on everything, including defense, including Medicaid, including Medicare. It's going to be a nightmare. And so when you hear about shrinkflation or you hear about, price gouging, that's an insult to the intelligence of the American people. And it's very damaging because it just delays the day when we have to figure out how we're going to get out of this mess.
Mm-hmm. And then he's yelling out, we gotta have a special, he's asking for legislation for the border problem. And it's like, wait a minute, why don't you just reinstitute everything that Trump brought in and close down the border? Maybe we won't have the issues that we've been having.
He could repeal a lot of his executive orders on this. He could also enforce the law that's already on the books. He could do a million things, but he doesn't want to do it. And again, Joe Biden has spent over half a century in public office in Washington in one way, shape, or form. And so you're not dealing with someone who's ever practiced being held accountable, or he wouldn't have been there for 50 years.
Right.
He'd have been back in the private sector. So this man has accomplished it. It's spreading the blame and trying to claim credit for things that have never happened in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And on every foreign policy, he's been wrong on every one of them.
Well, I don't know if you saw it, but I think there was a recent article where the Biden administration is being talked about how they're going to have effectuate a regime change. What country do you think they're talking about?
Russia?
No. Starts with an I.
Oh, Israel. Okay.
Yeah, I would have thought Iran, but there would have been a much sounder choice. But unfortunately, they seem bent upon trying to have regime change in Israel, a democratic ally of the United States. So I guess when Mr. Biden talks about democracy being threatened abroad, they must be talking about his own administration vis-a-vis Israel.
Yeah.
Because last I checked, they were quite capable of making their own decisions on who should govern their own country.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think yet
it's the same administration, Art, that coddles Iran and wants and believes they're a partner for peace and nuclear disarmament. These people are they're absolutely unhinged.
Right. A place that needs regime change is, I don't know, Gaza. Maybe if they got rid of Hezbollah and had a government that actually cares about its people, that wants to improve the lives of its own people. And I don't know, turn Gaza into the Singapore of the Mediterranean. They had a chance, and unfortunately, at the gunpoint, they were forced to vote for Hezbollah. That's Hamas. And so they're stuck with the tyrannical regime, and they're all brainwashed into thinking, the Jews are these filthy animals, and we got to get rid of them. And it's like, with all this chanting of to the river, to the sea. And we got idiots here in this country in our own schools chanting that bull, which is.
Well, I don't know if you saw the article, guys, but there's in Oakland, they were actually allowing activists into the schools to help indoctrinate young people, students, with pro-Gaza, anti-Israel messaging. So they wanted to inject that activism into schools. Now, you would think you'd want kids to be able to read and write and critically think, but that is not the first objective. Anti-Semitism is on the rise, and this is an example of why it is on the rise, especially with younger Americans. And so it's on the rise throughout the world. And so when you hear the river to the sea, that's really a call, as I've been told by my Jewish friends, and I always understood it to be, a call for genocide. Because to the river to the sea means the end of the Jewish people and the Jewish homeland. So these aren't exactly partners for peace, especially when you're still having the pay to slay bounties that are put forward for terrorists successful terrorists and their families, or when they're either incarcerated or dispatched. So
Right.
the indoctrination continues. It becomes very difficult when entire generations of people, with the tacit approval of many in the international community, are being taught anti-Semitism and a hatred of the Jewish people, and the calls for the eradication and genocide of the Jewish people. Again, less than 100 years after the last Holocaust,
Right.
are continuing. So to me, never again means never again, and it's time for anybody who has a sound mind and good heart to actually combat this and understand what the stakes are. It's not simply about Israel and Gaza and Hamas. It's about anti-Semitism and whether or not we will descend back into the barbarity that we saw in the 1940s.
Right. Right. And you got it on display in your neighborhood there in Dearborn. You got that idiot Rashid Tlaib, who, I mean, she's a Palestinian, and she, you know, and I guess the reason Biden was late for the State of the Union speech was they were being blocked by a group of protesters, you know, Gazan protesters. And it's like, geez. They even put a fence up around the White House and the Capitol.
We may have strong feelings in Southeast Michigan and the Dearborn area and throughout the area, but we're not seeing the rises of anti-Semitism or the instances that we've seen throughout the rest of the country. And in fact, much of our Arab population has actually been here for generations upon generations. And
Right.
so the assimilation process there, the peaceable expression of grievances in that without resorting to anti-Semitism or destructive acts is certainly ingrained within our community, throughout our community. So we've been very lucky in that regard. Rashida Tlaib has her views, she has her representation, but she's done nothing but she's expressed them. She's not done anything contrary to the law in terms of how she does it. I disagree with them fundamentally, but I will die for her right to express those views.
Right.
I'm not happy that she's my member of Congress, but that's something we sort out every 2 years, you know? But we cannot allow ourselves to become what we oppose. I will not censor them. I will not think less of people with their views as long as they do them in accordance with the Constitution.
Right.
To respect other people. That's kind of where we're at now here, at least here in Southeast Michigan. But I know what you're talking about, Art, and you were right. He was being blocked from the official duties of his office to address a joint session of Congress. And one would think that given the hefty sentences that are being thrown about these days for people who do that, something might have happened, but I guess not.
Yeah, isn't it funny? Those people weren't arrested, but the guy that heckled Biden at the speech, he got arrested.
Well, you can't do that. And I understand the passion that led the individual to do it. But again, if it was a Republican president and somebody from Code Pink had decided to do that, people would be upset too. So what you have is a situation, again, where it's very hard, especially for Republicans. And I know that a lot of what the left is doing drives us to distraction, but we cannot be distracted and we cannot descend to their level. The American people want to see who's capable of governing the country in a mature adult fashion, and they're not getting it from the Democrats. They're getting chaos, and they're getting deceit, and they're getting distraction and deflection, and they don't need that. Nobody needs that. So I think for Republicans and Mr. Trump has got to stop with the revenge tour and all the revenge rhetoric and that he'll be your instrument of justice. That's not the kind of person I want to elect as president. In a binary choice, yes, I'll vote for Trump over Biden. But the final analysis is there are a whole lot of people who do not like that rhetoric and don't want to hear from either one of them.
Right.
And so Mr. Trump has a great opportunity here is just appeal to the American people and tell them what he wants to do and how it's good for them. And hey, let's go forward. Instead, if you talk about retribution and revenge and things like that, you're not gonna make with a whole lot of people that are on the fence.
Right.
And we need every single vote you can get.
Mm-hmm. Well, he may be saying those things to get the base to follow.
He's got the base. He steamrolled
I
the
know
primary. It's
he
over.
does. He's got it all sewn up and ready to go, and he's got till August. That's when the convention is, and I'm hoping that he'll turn it around and say, "All right, it's time for us to come together and unify." And hopefully, he could do that.
Well, he can do that now. I mean, look, everybody knows he's being despicably persecuted by the lawfare and the left. They are doing things to Donald Trump that have never been done to a presidential candidate before. And I think as time goes on, we're going to see exactly what seeds were sown early on to create the conditions whereby Trump could be persecuted. Now, he played into some of it himself. I mean, no one is blameless in this, but what they're doing to him, again, is the use of the law for a political purpose rather than law being blind and apolitical. And it's part of a deliberate strategy. And I don't know that the Republicans need necessarily Donald Trump to tell us that he's going to be our instrument of revenge or retribution or our justice. We know what's being done to him. And I think a lot of Republicans do not need to be told twice what's happening to him to support him, because nobody wanted to feel like a rat deserting a man when the left is doing this to him.
Right.
So I think that he does not have to say all of those things. That he needs to do is rise above it and actually show the American people, look, I'm not the guy that these people are. Look at what they're doing to me. They'll do it to you. Let's go forward together and let's hold them accountable. That's all you need to do.
Yep. Well, here in Colorado, Lauren Boebert has switched districts. She went from the 3rd district to the 4th district, and she's got a steep hill to climb, because we've got former state senator and county commissioner Jerry Sonnenberg, who's very popular in the district. He's a rancher from Sterling, Colorado, and I've met him a few times back in my early days when I got involved in politics back in 2010 and 2012. And she's going to have a hard time, even though she's got the endorsement of Trump. I don't think it's going to help her in that district.
What's going to happen in her old district? That was a swing seat, wasn't it?
It's really, it leans Republican, and I'm just worried that the former Aspen City Councilman, Adam Fritsch, will probably end up winning unless we get a decent candidate to run in that district.
So it could be a net loss of a seat by her moving. Because as an incumbent, it would have been easier for her to hold her old seat rather than moving into the new one.
Well, she only won by 500 votes the last time.
Right, but she won. And usually what happens when you win by a lesser margin, if you do your job effectively, that people will reward you, and you'll probably attract more independents that went the other way the last time.
Well,
she's moved into this new district because it sounds like it's much more Republican.
It's more red than her original district, and so hopefully we get to hang on to that district. And Doug Lamborn has decided not to seek re-election in District 5, so we've got this is weird, our state GOP chairman running for that district. And I always thought, wait a minute, state chair is supposed to be impartial and shouldn't be running for office.
They're supposed to be a Republican. So if you're the Republican state chair, who's the state chair now?
Dave Williams.
Okay. So usually if they were going to run in Michigan, they'd have to leave the seat to run. Does he have to leave the seat to run?
Ethically they should, but he's not. He's still party chair, and he's running. And former Colorado Springs City Councilman and former Secretary of State Wayne Williams is running for CD5, and a plethora of other Republican candidates as well.
Is that a Republican seat or is that a swing
Oh
seat?
yeah, it's a
Heavy.
deep red district.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had, when I ran, I forget what I ran for. I was a party chairman, local party chairman at the time. Because I ran for county commissioner, I think I had to give up my seat to do it.
Right.
I don't know if it was in the bylaws, but it was just custom that you have an
Yeah.
unfair advantage, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I took a leave of absence or something.
Right.
I forget. But I mean, I would think that if you're the state party chair, given all the things that a state party chair has to deal with, you can't really focus on running for public office and focus on doing the job at the state level with the vigilance and diligence that it deserves.
Right.
Because running for office takes up all your time. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you can do both.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know the bylaws of the Colorado State Party.
Right.
Hey,
And,
I got a question for you guys.
okay.
Whatever happened to Bob Beaupre? He was my classmate when I went into Congress.
Oh yeah. Well, he is a cattle rancher up in Jackson County, Colorado. He raises buffalo.
Yeah, how's he doing? You ever come across him?
I haven't heard much about him in a long time. All I know is for some weird reason I keep getting emails from this group called Rhino Watchdog, and they were chirping about how I guess Beaupre's wife was saying, why don't we come together and start backing candidates and beating Democrats instead of fighting amongst them of ourselves? And this,
Well, that would make sense.
yeah, I know it does make sense.
It does
They
make
were
sense.
squawking about it. Oh yeah, Bob Beaupre was such a rhino, and it was Mark Holtzman who ran against him for. I think he was running for Senate, and he's the one that ran the both way Bob ads. And when
Bob ran for governor, didn't he? Was it governor?
Yes, he did. He
Okay.
ran for governor, and you know what? They pulled out the same ad. The Democrats did, and it was like, and it's like it's that kind of crap that just irritates me to no end here in Colorado, how we eat our own and we end up not beating Democrats. And I saw this steady decline over the years where we start losing a few House seats, a few state Senate. Now they control everything. They have the majority in the assembly. They own the governorship, Secretary of State, treasurer, attorney general. It's just crazy.
Supreme Court.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Supreme Court. Speaking of the Supreme Court, when they tried to get Trump off the ballot, it was a split decision. It was a 3-5 decision, even though they're all Democrats. Turns out the three Supreme Court justices, where'd they all go to college? They all went to Ivy League schools. Where the other two, they went to DU here in Denver. At least they know what the Constitution is. You can't just knock somebody off the ballot because of insurrection, the 14th Amendment, when he's never been charged with insurrection.
Yeah, not only not convicted, but not charged.
Right.
So when you got to remember with the Democrats, the Democratic Party isn't. They're all for the administrative state, and they try to figure out how they can tempt you into giving your power as a sovereign citizen over to somebody else to govern and run your life. That's exactly what they do, and they usually do it through paranoia and dependence by trying to make you both. So that's kind of where they're at, because when you think about it, what they were doing is they're saying they did not like the person that the Republican Party might nominate for president. Well, that's not their job.
Okay? Yeah, that's
bluntly.
right.
So what they're doing then is, by stretching the law, and they were shot down by the U.S. Supreme Court in a unanimous decision. So what you're starting to see is, I think it's going to backfire on them eventually. People do not like to see prosecutors and judges playing politics with the law. That goes to the very heart of our free constitutional republic. And I think it's going to blow back on them. I think you're going to continue to see that. I think Colorado, through the actions of the Secretary of State and your Supreme Court, actually might start. I've heard talk that you might actually be in play if this continues in the presidential election. Yeah, I don't know if that's the case. You hear the same thing about Michigan, but I don't know. I'm not there with you guys. But you know what I'm saying is, these types of things. The Democratic Party? It's starting to sound as if it's much like the Chinese Communist Party, where we will decide who the candidates are, and then you can take your pick.
Right. That's right. And our Secretary
free elections
of State,
without free selection.
Right. Our Secretary of State. Now the Republicans are talking about impeaching her, and I'm like going, yeah, how is that going to work? Yeah, they'll impeach her, but the state Senate's not going to convict her and throw her out. No, that's not going to happen. You could recall her, but what's going to happen? Another Democrat is just going to take over. So it's like it just
we've
a
seen
battle
this,
of futility.
The Democrats have cheapened the impeachment process. You can argue that it started with the impeachment of Clinton, but at least he did something wrong.
Right.
So when you look at what the Dems did, they basically turned it into another political weapon. It's just an extension of their lawfare, the stretching of the laws of the Constitution for political ends. When you think about it, basically they're the heirs of the 1789 French Revolution. It's all about power of the oppressed and everything else. It's a very puerile, immature view of the world. It's a life hack for imbeciles. But at the end of the day, that's where we are, and you have to deal with it. And you have to convince the American people that you have better ideas and a better place to take us.
Yep.
But impeachment isn't going to get you there. That's just cutting off your nose to fight your space, and you're wasting finite resources and time.
Right. And besides, she's term limited, and so she can't run again. She'll just, I don't know, probably run for higher office, maybe run for governor. Who knows?
I think you're right, Art. I think that's a large part of the thought process that went into the stunt that she tried to pull. And I think a lot of the people in the Colorado Supreme Court are looking at how do I parlay this into a federal appointment with a lifetime job. So it's kind of where we're at today. You know, they're celebrities now. Lucky us.
So I want to say sorry to hear about the Lions. I mean, almost again, but they didn't quite make it. But maybe in the off season, if they do a few tweets, maybe next year. But you know, it's really hard to get back to where they were. I mean, last time they did it was what, 30 years ago?
Yeah, 91, 90. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's hard, and it was heartbreaking having a 17-point lead.
Right.
I always thought that my concern actually first started when they got down there right before the half, and they had to settle for a field goal.
Right.
They missed a pass. Goff for once was inaccurate, missed a pass. They wound up taking the field goal, and I said, I hope they don't need those 4 points.
Right.
And they did. And they did. But I mean, everybody was, you know, when the disappointment wore off, we're very proud of what the Lions accomplished.
Right.
We're very optimistic about the future, but as you point out, Art, we also know how hard it is to get back, how difficult it can be. And being out there in Colorado, I certainly wouldn't want to trade places with the Denver Broncos right about now.
Yeah.
Oof.
Well, they finally released Russell Wilson. So
Jerry Jeudy, you just released Jerry Jeudy, and you released a safety too. Very good safety as well.
Right.
It's going to be a long haul, man.
Right. Yeah. We got to get that salary cap to where it's in our favor, and we can get younger, better talent. We'll see what happens. And also, you got to remember, we were undergoing a new ownership at the time. So now that we have a solid ownership that, we'll start getting back to what it was when Pat Bolin was the owner, and start getting quality players in and get back to our winning ways.
Well, you've not only got, Patrick Mahomes and Reed and those guys to deal with, because Mahomes is still a young man.
Right.
You've also got Harbaugh going over to the Chargers.
Yeah, that's true.
With Justin Herbert, who I think somebody like Harbaugh can actually bring out the best in him. And so that's a very difficult division. And the Raiders, if they keep their coach, if they keep the interim coach, I hope they held on to him because he was very good. So you could have a very, very tough division.
Yes.
Going forward. The Lions are looking at a very tough division because Chicago's got a ton of draft choices, including the number 1 pick. Then you've got the Packers rebuilding. Jordan Love is way ahead of schedule. And the Vikings are still a very solid team. They just had Kirk Cousins get hurt. So the Lions is going to be very difficult to win the division again. We know that. But look, as you know better than anybody else, because you guys have won before, it's if you want to be the best, you got to play the best and beat them.
Yep, that's true. It's true.
The better they are, great. It just makes it even better when we win.
So how are the Tigers doing so far?
Well, it's the opposite. The division is so weak. There's a lot of optimism. The Tigers are rebuilding. They're about probably halfway through it, really. But there's a chance because of the weakness of the division. So we're hoping. The big thing here now is the Pistons are just not.
Yeah.
These aren't the bad. These are just bad. But the Red Wings, they went on a 6-game winning streak, and everybody got excited. We were in solidly in the playoffs for the first time in 7 years, and then they lost the last 5. And so now they're only 2 points in the playoffs, and the Islanders got 2 games in hand. So, spring can't come fast enough.
Well, the Nuggets still look pretty solid, and if they could get past the Lakers again, he's getting old, but he's still a darn good player. So
he's still LeBron, He rises to the occasion as best he can when he needs to. But I think that I think Denver should be fine. I really do. The one that I would watch out for, I keep hearing, is that Golden State may have one last run at them, and that you may wind up playing them in the Western Conference Finals. Right. But I was so happy for Denver. I was very happy for you guys. And it wasn't too long. You'd won the Stanley Cup not too long. What, in 2022?
Right.
2022, yeah. And then that in 2023. Not bad, Art.
Yep.
Your Rockies.
Rockies, oh God, they were terrible last year. But what's funny is everybody thought the Diamondbacks were going to be terrible, and they ended up in the World Series.
Yep.
And they lost to the Rangers, and kudos on the Rangers for their first World Series win, and just good. Nice to see a different team win it for a change. And unfortunately, the Lions are one of 3 or 4 teams that have never been in the Super Bowl.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah. Well, hey, you're in good company. You got Cleveland and
Houston and Jacksonville.
Yep.
And Cleveland, I don't know if Cleveland can count because Cleveland actually had an interim where they went to Baltimore.
That's right.
And then they promptly won the Super Bowl in Baltimore as the Ravens. then they brought Cleveland back. So I think the Lions are the only one who've been in continuous operation since the start of the Super Bowl that haven't been there.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville, Houston being, expansion teams.
Expansion.
The other part of it is I'm old enough to remember growing up in 1975, 76, watching these two expansion teams called the Seahawks and the Buccaneers.
Yep.
Both of which have been to multiple Super Bowls, and both teams have won.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Good times. Good times.
And the Seahawks, I think they were in the same division with the Broncos.
They might have been back then.
And the Bucks were in the same division with the Detroit
with the Lions. Yeah. We used to go at it, and every team we'd be like, both the teams would be like 8-7 heading into the last week, and the winner would go to the playoffs and then promptly get destroyed.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Doug Williams was before he went to the Redskins, Doug Williams was just a big pain in the neck of the Detroit Lions. Mm-hmm. He was so good. Great arm. I'm glad he won it with Washington. It's good to see.
Right. Yeah, that was the year they beat the Broncos. I think that was Super Bowl 22. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Elway. Yeah.
Yeah, I was at Super Bowl 21 with the Giants, where we were up by 10 at halftime.
So the Giants destroyed them.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And then we lost to Redskins the following year. And
that was Jeff Hostetler, right? Jeff Hostetler, the Giants. Phil Simms was hurt.
Yes, I believe so. And then we lost to the 49ers. That was
they killed you. Yeah, they crushed you. Yeah.
Yeah. 55-10 or 17. It was.
And you had one with Craig Morton where the Dallas.
That was the first Super Bowl.
Two defensive linemen won the MVP of the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was in Louisiana, wasn't it? Superdome, Sugardome.
Yep.
So I think so. You went there 3 times before you won it? Was it 3 times?
Yeah,
more than that.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And Elway won 2 in a row.
Yeah, that's right. That'd be 97, 98, 99.
Yeah, they beat the Packers and then the Falcons.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So you guys are 2-3 in the Super Bowl then, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Peyton Manning.
He's 1-1 with
you lost to the Seahawks.
Yep, that's right.
And then you beat Carolina.
Yep.
Cam Newton.
Yep. Everybody. Oh, Cam Newton. He's gonna be a juggernaut, and he just fell apart. He got sacked 5 times during the Super Bowl and coughed up a couple fumbles. Yep.
Yeah, it was tight. All right. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate this, but me and the wife are going to celebrate daylight savings time by getting in a stroll at dusk.
Ah, all right. Yeah, okay. Sounds like I forgot all about it. I woke up and I thought, I'm getting up early, and I checked my phone and oh shit, the time changed. Look, technology where your phone is more accurate than your watch is. I go, great. Well, you enjoyed your walk, and thanks again for coming. It's always a pleasure having you, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Good night. Thaddeus.
All right, Charles. Hey, give my best to Lloyd and Judy, will you?
Will do. Okay. Yeah, he's listening. Yeah.
Hey, Lloyd.
Boy, that was a good show.
Yes.
So, yeah, boy. Glad you weren't so chatty tonight. But yeah, I mean, he made some really good points, and I think this revenge stuff. It's like save it for later. You need to pull the people together. We need to have unity, and it's like it's kind of obvious what's going to happen. If he gets reelected, that there's going to be major investigations going on, and hopefully, instead, hearing we're going to investigate Obama, and it never happened. And hopefully, this time we'll finally see some actual people go to jail, because they've really crossed the line with the crap that they pulled
Yeah.
during Trump's administration. And
Well, I
just
thought I hadn't heard Trump say anything about getting revenge. I'd heard exactly the opposite. That he was kind of saying he was going to be too busy trying to fix the country to go for petty revenge.
right. Let's say hello to a few folks in the chat. Hey, Rigor Mortis, I need to make him blue. So we got Rigor Mortis watching, and we got Mark R. White, Joey, Jaybird, and Lloyd, of course, Lloyd, Andrew, and Ronnie, God bless America. And we got Lloyd, of course. Lloyd was here, and Lee Bessing was here, Steve Knowles. We got a good crowd tonight. We got up to 15 people watching, which is good. That's pretty darn good for us. So let's make Rigor a moderator. So it was kind of nice to take a break from the show, Saturday show, and I will be back next Saturday, and I will be giving away this drone. So I'm going to be making another video saying, hey, I got a drone to give away. So come on over and watch that, and you could be the lucky winner. And I also picked up a drone from Goodwill that is a Lego drone.
Oh, wow.
So I will check that out. Hopefully all the parts are there.
Yeah.
That may be another prize to give away. Yeah. So that'll be cool. I mean, and it's not just a drone. It's like a car, you could drive around. I wonder how you control that. Would you, I imagine it's with an app on the phone, that'd
Probably, yeah.
So I think it's a boat, and it's different types of drones. And I thought, oh, that's cool. I saw that on there, and I looked at the price, and I go, wow, that's not out of sight. Yeah. I ended up spending about $20 with the shipping and everything. Yeah. So that'll be cool. So I haven't played with Legos in, the 50, 60 years.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I had the very, very basic. It was like 12 bricks. When I was a little kid, I'm like, what the hell do you do with 12 bricks?
Right. Well, with me, I kept buying more bricks, and then I was building great big skyscrapers with it, like the Empire State Building. And I got it like 3 feet tall. Made a great big, huge skyscraper with all the bricks. And it was a lot of fun.
Cool.
Now you can make spaceships and cars, and I mean, stuff that you can make with Legos these days. It's just amazing. Not like when I was a kid, it was just the basic rectangular and square blocks you just put together with the flat pieces to make roofs, or you can make it kind of like a filling station. Yeah, that was one of the other things. Remember filling stations where you just pull in and they put gas in your car and check your oil and all that. And Oh, that's amazing. But yeah, it's partly cloudy here right now, and man, I forgot all about daylight savings. I go, wait a minute. I remember seeing something on Facebook about daylight savings time, where I used to kid around at work at my old job and say, "Hey, don't forget to change your winter air in your car. You're tired." And I actually had one coworker believe me. Yeah. Okay. And what else? So I got 2 more months till I go to the Philippines. I'm really excited about going. Can't wait to get there. And it'll be cool to go down to Irene's hometown and visit her family there and their kids and her mom, and be in a different part of the country that I've never been to. And I could, excuse me, do a kind of a travel vlog type thing, because that part of the country you don't hear a whole lot about.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I'll bring my Air 2 with me and fly around, get some video. And oh, Lloyd says he won't be doing the show tomorrow. I kind of figured that,
yeah.
Lloyd, but we got our thoughts and prayers are with you and Judy, and we're wishing you guys the best and a fast recovery, and hopefully we'll get back to being on your Monday show, because I really look forward to doing that. And tomorrow I'll be getting the rest of my vaccinations for my trip. So, excuse me, I'll get my COVID booster, my Hep A and B. So I'll be good to go for quite a while on that. And I'll get my RSV shot. So that's what respiratory something virus. I don't know, but it's kind of like the flu shot, but for a different bug.
Yep.
So, and I just recently got my Japanese encephalitis shot. So that's my third and final shot. I will be good to go for another 10 to 16 years on that one.
Crap. Well, that's good.
Yeah. Because that's one of those bugs you definitely don't want to get, because you get that and you'll be taking a dirt nap. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you got a couple more minutes, and so we got a lot of stuff going on, and we'll have some more. We'll be keeping up with what's going on in politics, and keeping you all up to date. And don't forget my show next Saturday. I will be out of YouTube jail and do a live stream. And
You didn't see that Uncle Bill got out.
Yeah, I heard about that. But I was at Jeff Dunham last night, so I couldn't do the show last night, because when I got home it was like 6:30.
Right.
And I had grabbed dinner from McDonald's, so I was having dinner when I got home. What was that? There was that's a whole different shot. That's the MMR shot, I think. Yeah, you get that when you were a little kid.
Yeah.
And then you're good for life. Although,
Well, that all
and
depends on who you talk to. I wanted to go back to college, as an adult in like 1994, and they demanded that I get boosters for all the stuff that I had when I was a little kid.
right. Well,
And
I
then
did,
and then on top of that, for some reason, my doctor's office didn't have. I mean, they did that for me in 1994, and then I wanted to keep on going in 1995 to a different school,
right.
and they didn't have the records from when they did that for me. And like, well, actually, in '94.
Yep.
So they said, well, you gotta get this done before classes start, or we're not going to let you in. So I went back and spoke to them about it, and so they just said, okay. They shot me up again
Right.
with the whole thing. So now I'm probably good until sometime, after death
Right.
for
Right.
those things. you know.
Mark, I did get my shots for the shingles. That's two shots that you get. And so I'm good to go on that because I saw my mom get the shingles just before she passed away. And that looks like something you don't want to get. It's pretty painful stuff. And what else? So, everybody, thanks for coming. Please spread the word about this show. I'm trying to grow this channel, and give me some thumbs up too, because that also helps with the analytics. And also, I wanted to mention, because of the, I haven't been doing well. The one show that got taken down, demonetized, and then I didn't do a show last night. So March is going to be another month I won't be getting a check from YouTube or actually Google, the AdSense. So hopefully April will be a better show, and we'll start bringing in some more people that want to become members, which is good. So take care, everybody, and catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Good night, folks.